see anything?
Yeah.
Okay, let's start. First of all, I wanted to talk about XAF roadmap for this year. You can find it if you go to devexpress.com, then go to blogs, then go to roadmap, and here you can see all the plans for XAF, WinForms, every DevExpress product. Here you can find XAF. And today I wanted to quickly demonstrate a few features we are working on. Some of them are ready. And the first feature is localization support. As you know, in the current version, XAF supports only one language localization. I mean, you can select multiple languages for your application, or you have to write code. In the upcoming 20.2.6 version, will provide the capability to localize XAF Blazor applications like you used to do this in WinForms and WebForms. And in 21.1, you will also have the capability to change language at runtime like this. For example, you can see that there is a tiny selector with languages, like let's practice German or Russian. And you can also change languages if you log in. Take special note of the following. Okay, sorry. Of the following menu. So you can change your language from here as well. So it's now Russian or German. So you'll have this in 21.1 version. Also, I wanted to promote small features that will be released in 20.2.6 in 2 weeks. I hope it's support for action container view item. So you can, by default, you can place actions in main menu, and you can also with this feature, you can place actions in layout, like here. Another small feature, it's support for time span property editor, so you can specify some time like this using this tiny selector. Well, and the last thing I wanted to show is it's not only about XAF, but about DevExpress in general. As you probably know, we currently have 2 installers, one for .NET Framework, and the other one is for .NET Core desktop that includes WinForms and WPF libraries for .NET Core and .NET 5. And in May, we will add these .NET Core, WinForms, and WPF assemblies into our main .NET Framework installer. So it's will be easier for you to get all libraries from one installer, and the second installer will stay as it is, because we have some WPF customers or WinForms customers that use only these .NET Core and .NET 5 technologies, so they may not need any Blazor or DevExtreme or other web technologies. So for XAF, I think the majority of users will benefit from this change, because there is one installer, not two. And also how it affects you. Many asked us to provide, to make it easier to create WinForms and Blazor applications simultaneously, and you have this capability in 21.1. So here you can see that there is a new project template. It's for .NET Core, and the other one is for .NET Framework. And if you choose this one for .NET Core, if you run it, let's click Create. You can choose both WinForms and Blazor. Let's click Next. Here you can select either Entity Framework Core or our XPO ORM. Let me skip and click Finish. And as a result, you'll have a single solution that includes both WinForms and Blazor, as many of you wanted. Let me wait a bit. Something is not responding in the Visual Studio. But you can trust me.
It's a demo, guys, you know.
Yeah, I had created it just before the presentation, and it worked quickly. So here you can see you have a Blazor and WinForms and also common module, and it's exactly as you have in WinForms and WebForms, for example. And also you'll be able to add new module. Let me choose like this. So we updated this wizard as well. I think that's it for me.
Okay.
Thank you for your attention.
Okay.
Good stuff, Dennis. One quick question: Is the new WinForms, so this new wizard, is it targeting full framework for desktop, or is it like the new .NET Core version?
No, it's the new .NET Core, because it includes Blazor.
Okay, yeah. It's just a question.
Yeah, the old one stays. The old one, I mean, .NET Framework, it stays as it is because it's widely used, and I think it will be used for many years to come.
Yeah,
so WebForms is also not going anywhere. It stays as before because many users rely on it, and it's good, and we are proud of it. So
it was just a question, but what the perspective is. Looks awesome.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Okay.
Thank
you, Dennis. We're looking forward for those features when we have the new installer. So, well, now it's my turn. What I'm going to show you guys is some open source project that we have. Is usually easier to use something open source than to make it something open source. We were talking about that before. So let's see which screen I'm sharing. So just one sec. Let's share a screen. And I want to share screen number 2. Great. So Can anyone see my screen now? Can anyone confirm? Manuel, maybe?
Yeah, confirmed.
Yeah, so you're seeing the GitHub page, right? So what I have here is a combination of modules that I have done for basically some of the customers. The ideas came from actually several customers that we have. And I decided, okay, this is common between all of them. Let's make it public, and they agree with it. So here we have the main page for the Ultra modules. There is only like 3 modules actually. But the one that I want to show you is the one that we get most requested for, which is the universal search. So here I have a Xaf solution. Let me close all of this. And basically, this is the model that I'm going to show you today. It's an agnostic module. So the idea about universal search is that you want to do a search within all your application, every part of your application, or the domain objects that you want to expose to your user. So this is like really easy to implement. Basically, you only have one attribute that you will use in basically most of the classes. So if you want to implement that, for example, you can add this decoration to your class, and you can tell it like, once the object is found, which properties you want to display. And then you can also include like as a format string. So this is how the result will show when it shows on the list of results. So it will show the customer code and the customer name and where that customer is from. So that's the thing that you need to make your object searchable in general. So beside that, it should work mostly like the normal search in Xaf. So let me run this. Let's log in. So here is the data that I have so far. I have countries and I have customers. So both of these classes are marked with the universal search attribute. So if I want to search over them, I go to universal search icon here in the navigation item, and basically this replaces Xaf search in general. So for example, let's go to the data right now. Let's check the customers. Let's see, we have a few customers we have Alexander Pushkin from Russia here, and Anna Karenina, so some famous characters. And basically, let's look for something, for example here, Cristobal Perez, he's from Chile. And also we have Chile in the country list. So I can go to universal search and search for the word Chile. And see, I got 4 records. One is a country object, and the other one are customers. And here is the format string. So basically, it's a wide application search. So it's really useful when you want to locate something in your application, and you don't know exactly which entity it is, or you're looking for a text in your whole application. And the neat thing about this is, first, that it's agnostic. It's not platform oriented, so it will work on a web or Windows. And also is that, for example, here we have 2 different type of objects, right, in the same list. So the module, what it's doing is basically is remapping the default action. So when I double click in a result, I will go to that detail view. So for example, here I have the detail view for country. And when I open a customer, I have the detail view for customer, and this is the customer that I'm seeing here in the record. So I think that this is something that can be really productive if you have a really wide application with a lot of entities and you want to search like through all of them. So that's why we get a lot of requests for this. And most of the time I tell the people, just take the code, is there, it's free and it's open source, so just go and get it. Because we are not compiling at the moment the newest for each version, because that is a lot of work in general. We do it from time to time, but only when it's needed. So if you need to get something from Ultra, just go and get the code, or you compile it yourself. So this is the first one that we get a lot of requests for, and I'm going to
that's this. Jose, just a quick thing. I think that's a really good module, because I can imagine something like this. When you have like a help desk system, or people calling in your office, and they are not 100% sure where to find the last bit of information or something like this. They go to the screen, or some kind of that screen, because it's XAF, it's modular enough, so you can reuse it in another context. But if you get called and I have no idea where to find the information quickly, I can do a whole search on the application and get to the right data.
And also is because we have another module that is internal, that is an activity stream, like a Facebook wall. So then you need to do broad searches in general. So this module is useful for that. And whatever you want to include, you just decorate it, set the properties, and let's say the stream of how you want to format it, and that's it. I mean, I think that there are possibilities to making this better, but
there is a question from GP. When a customer has 1,000 plus records, would the result be 1,000 plus entries, or 1,000 plus orders, for example?
Well, I was thinking about that just this morning before the demonstration. And yes, what we need to do is like put some settings in screen here to set like, okay, I want the first page of all the results. I want the second page, because otherwise at the moment it's returning basically everything. In Windows Form with the local database is not a problem, but if you have a remote database, that can be slower. So basically we want to add some options like bring me everything as is happening, so we can make it faster. I mean, so far is the search functionality that we have, but we want to make it better. Actually, I'm rewriting this module.
Question is like find score is like the question. So, yeah. But
so
I think we get the point.
Yeah. Also, JP, if you want to give me a hand with this module, let's work on this together. I mean, this is like quite fun to have it, and I think it's really useful. So basically, I'm working on that. I was working on that this morning. I want to release a new version. I wanted also to make a version for XPO, pure XPO in general, because I have some applications that are pure XPO and Blazor. So I want to have this functionality because I like it a lot. So, okay, that is the first module.
There's, I will.
Yeah,
on the chat.
Yeah. So thanks, Manuel. So the second module. Sorry,
Jose. Hello. Is possible and customizer for only 6 or 10 business object entity, or is for the whole universe search in all business?
No, actually, I'm only searching in the one that have this decoration, the universal search attribute. So you don't need to do, I mean, this will not search in all the entities in your Xaf application. It will search only in the entities that you register with this attribute. So maybe you don't want to show something that is like maybe forbidden to see, maybe some private data. So if you don't put this, it will not be included on the search, basically. So that's the idea. If you want to show it, you put the decoration. If you don't want to show it, you just leave it as it is. So, okay, let's move forward with another module. And I got a lot of requests for this one. And also, this is not part of the Ultra module so far. I mean, there is a different version. We used to have a scripting module that compiles a C# assembly that you can use in your application, but that approach was like too difficult to maintain. So now we have the Gin machine. So basically, Gin is a JavaScript engine that is able to interact with the runtime of .NET. So you can write JavaScript code that will execute .NET code in the end. So here I have some examples of it. I mean, when I wrote this, I was getting crazy because I liked this idea so much that I could not stop working about it or thinking about it. You know how it is when you get possessed by an idea. So let's wait for this to load, and let's see what we have here. So let's wait a little bit. Okay, so the idea of the Gene machine is to be able to create the scripts and then interact with Xaf parts. So for example, let me close all of these tabs. So this is what we have so far. We have three types of scripts. General scripts, we have property editor scripts, and then we have a state machine scripts that, I know that the state machine is the most beloved module in Xaf, at least for me. So let's start with something like really simple. For example, which one is a small one? Show message. I hope that this works because this actually have a problem when I'm running Zoom, when I'm sharing my screen. It swallowed the notification. So let's see if today this will work. So really simple script. I only have one function that is called show message. Then I have the text that I want to show, and the type of notification, and for how long I want to show it. And for this, I'm using the rich text editor from Developer Express. So it's really nice because you can do stuff like this. You can change colors in your code. So I like this more than Visual Studio in general. I wish I can have like autocomplete that Intellisense here, but since you can have all the type of colors that you want, it's also really, really nice. For example, if I want to make this another color, I can just make it, I don't know, red. Oh, it didn't work. It's like the demo effect. But anyway, so let me run this script and let's see how it goes. Yeah, here we have the notification. So whatever you can have some output. You can have the output here, or you can interact with some part from Xaf. So let me show you some more complicated scripts. So for example, let me show you let's see the person object. We have one person here. It says person from JavaScript. So let's go and find that script. We have this script here, like create object and instance. So let's see. This is what we have here. So we get the type, we send the full type, then we create an object space, then we figure out we create the object, the instance, and then we set the values, and then we commit the changes and show a notification in the end. So all the code is encapsulated in this function, and then we are calling this function. So just for the purpose of this demo, I'm going to change this, and it will be Xaf community standup. So let's save this and let's run it. So success, and let's go to the person's object and let's refresh this. So here we have the records created by JavaScript in the end. So we have a little bit more complicated examples. For example, let's see here. You can do an HTTP request. Basically, you can interact with all the .NET runtime. So here what I have is we get an HTTP client. Then with this client, we make a request to this URL. Basically, it's a demo URL. You will always get the same JSON. And then we log the status and we log the response. So if we execute this, here we have the JSON that this call will return anyway. And we have like one other example that I want to show you, that is get secure object space provider. So this one is really neat because here I'm getting an object space that is impersonated as an admin. So you can tell it, okay, log in as this user and get this object space. So you will have those permissions for this object space. And for example, then after we get the object space, we can create an object. And basically, this will use Xaf permissions in the end. So I'm going to create one object as an admin, and then I'm going to change to another user. So you see that it will be forbidden by the security system. So this will be person from admin user. So let's execute this, and it's working. And if we go to the person list, and we refresh this, here we have the person from the admin user. But if we change this to user, which doesn't have permissions to create anything, and we execute this, see, we're getting an exception, and is that is prohibited by the security system rules. So the scripts can work along with basically everything that is inside of Xaf. So this is good because you can tell run this script as the admin, or run this script as salesperson, or as this person in general. Also, we have some scripts. Let's come here, like that can interact with the UI. For example, this script will get a controller. This is the full name of the controller that I want to get from Xaf. And then from that controller, I want to get the simple action one, and I will change the caption to caption from JavaScript. So that action is actually, if we come here, is this dummy action. So if I execute this script, I will change the caption for this. So let's execute it. See, and I change the caption. So you can do a lot of stuff with those scripting. Like, I think they're really useful in general. So let's see, what else do we have here? Well, you can make an action out of these scripts. So for example, let's see what we have. We have this show message action, right? So let's make this script an action. So this script should be an action. It will be for, let's see, where do we put it? Let's put it in the person object. And I want to show it in the detail view. So let me save this, save and close. So let me close all the tabs. I'm not a tab person. If we go to the person object, here the action is not showing, right? Because it's the list view. But if we go to the detail view, here in the script section, you will see show message and, for example, datetime editor. In this case, I'm going to execute this one. And basically showing the message, right? So you can make your scripts, you can put them in actions and put them in any place on the screen, basically. And let's see. I have some scripts property editor. For example, if you have seen the example, I think the example is actually here. Oh, I need to fix this layout. So let me fix it like really quick. And then I need, well, I need just that. So here is the link for the example, like the official developer's example on how you should get how you can modify the settings for a property editor. So basically, I'm doing the same. I'm getting a property editor, and I'm getting the property editor for the person object in the detail view. And basically, I'm replacing the control to have a different value in general. So let's go and check another one. I have the string property editor change. So you can interact with any part of the property editor, caption, value, or control settings in general. And let's see, what else do we have here? And also,
Chris, a quick question from the chat. From Fernando asks, just how's it that the script? Does the script have support for try catch? Logical null exception, if then case,
actually,
for basic logic.
Actually, if you want, most of the stuff are supported, but those are not created by me. So if you go to GitHub, Gint, you will see the implementation of the language, like how many features are already implemented. If you go also to the Gitter chat of this project, it's huge. It's a lot of people making contributions to it or asking stuff about it. So most of the stuff you can handle, and you have some really neat features. I have not exposed them yet to Xaf, but for example, you have, let's see. Let's go down a little bit. You have constraints. I think this is really important when you're doing scripting. For example, you can tell it, there is a memory limit. I don't want this script to use more memory than this. So in that case, you can protect your system from some people writing maybe bad scripts or bad intent. I mean, do it something with being evil somehow. Like, hey, I want to break the system, so I will write a script that will loop all the time and take a lot of memory. So you can set a limit of memory here. Also, you can set a time interval. I don't want this script to run longer than this time. Giving like 10 minutes. If it's 10 minutes long, maybe it's hang up, so you can kill that process. So you can set some limits there. All of this, you can set that in code at the moment, but there's no UI for it. But I want to expose the UI because I think that each script should have a set of options. I don't want this to use more than this memory or to run longer than this in general. And also you have all these possibilities with the .NET interoperability. And what is neat, but I don't have an example here, is that you can also include JavaScript libraries in your code. So you can mix and match JavaScript and .NET at the same time. Maybe you have a regex, a regular expression JavaScript library that you like a lot, that you've been using for so long. So you can include it here. Maybe .NET doesn't work like that, but you can execute that JavaScript actually from here. So basically what you're seeing in here in the scripts are what you can write in here is the mix of .NET and JavaScript in the end. So whatever flavor is best for you, maybe you have a lot of libraries in JavaScript that you want to include, or maybe you just want to make some dynamic code in .NET. Here is the place to do it. And we were talking about this with Dennis, that I'm the person who loved the state machine module. So you can also make a script for the state machine. So for example, this is also with wrong layout. So let me put this here and make this bigger. So for example, here where I don't have any state machine created, I think you can select the state machine, then you can select the state and the transition that you want to listen to. So when that transition happens, then you execute some code there. So, you should ask Dennis about it, because at the moment I'm using the rich text editor, and I was doing some experiment with Monaco editor, which is the one that is used by Visual Studio Code. But the thing is that all of these are experiments and they take a lot of time to figure them out. So if anyone wants to collaborate with
maybe we can get to that later, but I don't have a demo for VS Code, but I have quite a strong idea about Monaco, because I worked at Runrex, so I really know that thing.
I've been trying to figure out Monaco, so if you want to contribute, Manuel.
Maybe, but let's go on with the demo. But the question was, when do you support Intellisense in the code editor? I think the answer is when it's implemented.
Yeah, to tell you the truth, I'm looking for the Intellisense because I use it a lot. I mean, and everyone uses it a lot in general.
Yeah.
But the thing is that there are some things that I really like about the, let's see, just let me close all of this and let's go to the normal script. Let me take this script. So let's see, view, why I don't see the, oh yeah. There is something that I like. I like this better than the Intellisense feature. Like, for example, if let's see, maybe it will not work at the moment, but you can highlight the stuff. You cannot do this in Visual Studio, in normal Visual Studio. So you can write like, or also you can change fonts like, hey, like this is a comment, right? This will not execute, but you can make that comment like really big if you want. I wish that Visual Studio can have something like this, like more like a word editor that you can change colors and everything for you, because that will help you to figure out some stuff. You can have some visual cues about, hey, I need to work on this. Like, for example, I can make like, Jose, don't forget about this. and whatnot all. So, and then you can make it red if you want. So you will not forget about it. See, you have like a big stuff there. And also
my eyes.
So, and the funny thing is that this will execute anyway. I mean, it doesn't matter which format you put on the text. I'm extracting the text and executing just the text in the end. But you can do any rich format that you want. That is something that I really like, actually. So
Sabtip Omar did just a quick comment on it. Code Rush have that feature, and I think you can even add images. I think you can even add images in that too.
No,
but,
yeah,
They the thing is, of course, it's a rich text editor. It has all the features from the RTF editor. Thing is, like, you have to think about when you use that scripting feature. What are the goals? I totally get it. It's a really cool feature to implement in a larger system where you don't have to redeploy all the stuff and you have to make adjustments and modifications to the system. And the model editor itself isn't enough for the commenting feature and getting into Monaco, for example, getting Intellisense to work, all that kind of stuff is a hard road. But I really get the feature. It's really cool.
Basically because you can interact with a lot of parts from Xaf that you don't need to recompile. So it depends. If you have a Xaf application with just one screen, you will not include the script editor for that. But if you have some type of an ERP type of system, maybe you want to do a script, okay, like when this invoice changes status to this from this script, send an email or something like that. So that you can do. It's not a lot of code, because don't write your whole application in scripting, please. Just make those stuff that you can change, like can really give you a hand. And also this script,
one question. One more question. That's for me. For now, scripts are stored in a database. Okay. And is there any kind of cycle where you get the scripts out of the database and get it back into the release cycle, or is it just an idea?
I wanted to have something like you extract them so you can run them from Visual Studio or something like that, so you can have debugging and stuff, other stuff. But basically, I have the idea of how to implement that, how to attach this script to a process and then do debugging. But again, this takes a lot of time, and you have your normal work in general. So there are some ideas that are just beforehand.
Just for me, so I can understand it, it's like you have your XAF solution, your product, your AAP system, stuff like your XAF solution, and you have a customer or some customers that need more customization that the model editor provides. So you need to write some kind of modifications, but they are so small, you just put it.
It's not worth it to recompile in that sense.
Yes. Okay.
Because this is basically, we were talking about that with Javier, and he told me, well, that is nice if you're a really technical person, but this is an overkill for the normal user. I mean, sometimes like some even small screens are complicated for them. Can you imagine, like, hey, you can write a script for everything? And
Gustavo asked the question, why not C# scripts?
Well,
I think I can answer that question as well.
Go ahead.
The main problem is C# isn't a scripting language at all, and it's hard. There are dialects. There is like there's Cake out there. There's Scriptsharp. There are a lot of options out there, but it's really hard to get into. First of all, it's hard to scripting is easier in JavaScript than in a strongly typed language. And the second thing is there is no clear dialect from Microsoft. Let's do VB script, says GP. Yes, if we do VB script, we can go 20 years back to Excel scripting again, lol, LOL. No, the thing is, I think JavaScript is a great scripting language for that purpose.
Yes.
C# is really, really hard to script because it isn't officially scripted.
Yeah, and also, Manuel, there is some stuff regarding the references that you need to check, and the compilation is not interpreted. You have to compile it and then include it in your application with the application domain. So the first version in Ultra of the scripting module, you were writing C# or Visual Basic, but it was harder to maintain because you need to compile that, make sure that you have all the references, create a project in memory, and then include that in your application domain. That, even though that was the first idea, I thought that maybe you don't need to include all the references. You don't need to include some, like, it's like, let's work within your application context in the end. So it's like, whatever you need for your application, you should include it in the executable. And with the script, you can basically execute all of that. So in the opposite case, in the original version where I was using Visual Basic and C# in general, it's like, okay, you have this part to include nuggets if you want to download. So it was way more complicated, just all the setup. So when I found Gint and I did some tests, actually started in Blazor, actually, because here I have the first scripting screen. So you can create the script templates, and then you can create the scripts like this. And in the end, you can pick the language, C# or VBNet. Then here you have the script code, and here I don't have Intellisense or anything. And then you get the compilation result that will produce an in-memory assembly, and you can save it here. So you can execute it, and next time you start your application, the assemblies that are in all the scripts will be included in the application domain. So they will be available compiled for you. But this doesn't make that much sense, because if you want to do that, you just make a plugin framework where you can load assemblies. You don't need to write that assembly here. So I think that there are two different purposes. If you want to include compile assemblies, that will be, for me, a plugin framework. That is something different than a scripting framework in the end. So I have the two flavors, and with all of this, it's hard to know how to continue. You create them at the beginning for maybe a small set of requirements that you have. And then usually you go crazy. You like it so much that you start writing more code and more code. You need to know where to stop. And when someone is going to use something like this, because maybe everyone likes it, but no one will use it in the end. So, so you need to make sure that you're not wasting your time with this. But it looks like everyone likes the scripting Gint machine. So then
Jose, one quick thought about the scripting thing is, scripting is like for me as a professional developer, it's like there's always the boundary where scripting makes sense, and there is, and I know C# and all the languages. For example, Microsoft did it with Windows, not Microsoft. How's it called? The playbook style of thing, like Python does it, for example, for machine learning and all that kind of stuff. But that's a small area. That's like that's not for application development. It's like testing out stuff. It's like a better console application. And for normal application development, you have to get into the boundaries of how do I deploy that, test that, kind of stuff. But I think that's a really, really great example how you can leverage JavaScript in combination with C# and enterprise
Yeah, actually, one of the usage that I gave to this is that I do a lot of machine learning prototypes. So sometimes I just open the Xaf application, I include the module, and then I write the machine learning code in top of that as a script. So if you're doing machine learning, then I think there is a lot of value here. And well, since I see a lot of interest, I will publish some more articles in the Facebook group because I think it's a really neat idea. And if you want to collaborate with the Monaco editor, because I've been playing around with it, but it takes time to understand it and how it works. So if you want to give me a hand with that, Manuel, you're welcome to do it.
Sure.
We need more hands.
Sure.
And that's everything from my side. So today we're going to move to the next community module. So those are the ones from Yamachant. So I will stop sharing my screen, and Dave, when you're ready, you can start sharing.
Perfect. Although my Zoom window just...
Yeah, it happened.
Off
We
the
had that
screen.
conversation before the meeting, that sometimes with using Zoom, your
Dave.
is just gone.
Dave, are you in like a sauna right now?
Oh, this is my hut.
That's your hut.
This is my hut. My hut is...
It looks like a sauna without steam.
Yeah, no, it is actually a 10-foot by 10-foot, 2-story high little bunky thing. So
yeah, it's cool.
Keeps me away from the family making noise. So it's great. Good. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes,
Visual Studio's
you're
up?
on screen.
Perfect. Okay. So yeah, we have the LlamaChat framework modules. These are free to download and use. We created these because in every project we were putting together, we were always doing the same collection of things. So we kept duplicating the controllers. So we said, you know what, let's take those and just put them into our modules. A lot of them are samples that came from DemExpress directly that we just tweaked and made usable for our own. But we use this in pretty well every project that we create. You can get to that from our website, llamaChat.com, right here on the main page, or up under resources. There's a few pieces here that are useful, including our code snippets, the framework module, a video, a security preview module that you'll actually see today as well, and our controller management module, which we talked about a few sessions back, to basically deactivate and try to identify bad controllers. So in the LlamaChat framework module, the last update was the end of 2019. We haven't touched this in forever. It just works for what we need. We asked if you use these, by all means, let us know. We like knowing how people use our modules. Please do not resell our modules as a product. You can put them in your products and sell those. That's fine. Just don't sell our module on its own. So yeah, we both basically focus on Win and Web. Some items are, Win and Web. Some are Win only. Some, we don't have any that are Web only. But you can go through these and see what the basic features are. These are not really well documented. I'd love to have somebody come and document these for me in a bit more detail. Like I said, we've been using them, so I'll just give you a quick run through today as to how these work. So at the bottom, I click download. I grab the actual project files, include them in my project, add my references, and so on and so forth. And so what I end up with is this structure here where I have my XAF application, Win and Web, and then my modules in here. Okay. What's really kind of cool about these modules is that when I run these after including them, they don't really do anything. They just sit there passively until you turn the options on and off. So you're not going to experience really strange things just by adding our modules. So everything's in here. I can see it. I can open up like my business objects. Everything looks fairly normal. I go into, come on now. Right, I go into my different views. Everything, it's a standard look and feel. Nothing's changed. When I go into the model file, I'll do it at runtime, but of course it's off the screen again. There we go. When you go into the model file, there's a section under options, which are the LlamaChat framework. And so we have a bunch of just quickly turn on and off options. So deleting non-aggregated objects. What we find is, let me flip back to this. So many times when you create a many-to-many collection, there's no aggregation whatsoever. You end up with things like involved teams where you can link and unlink from different teams, right? So from different objects. And 100% of our users will go in here and say, oh, I don't want this one in here anymore. Delete. They think they're removing it from the collection on this object. They think they're going to remove this, the reporting team from my project. But in reality, they're deleting the reporting team. So the first option we give them is the ability to remove that everywhere. Say, hey, you're not allowed to remove those objects. So what happens is when I go back into my projects to that many-to-many, that delete is gone. I say link, unlink, click new, take my pick. When I go into the actual detail view, again off the screen, then I can go and delete it. So it's just an extra step to protect users from doing stupid things. So we come across that all the time. I'm going to turn a bunch of these options on next. So bigger. So the allow font size selection, again, this is Windows only. Turn that to true. Allow summary panel menu item. Turn that on. Bold tabs with counts. So this is actually bolding tabs that have items inside of it. We used to combine this with the show counts and tabs. We split them out, but we kept the naming the same. I'll do that for both. The show type name and open object. Something we've seen in the open object action is it doesn't show what you're going to be opening, depending on what you have selected. And then we have some audit trail specific stuff. So can you restore from an audit trail? This is, I call this experimental, but in reality it works quite well as long as you have the full audit trail on. And who can view the audit trail? And the options here for both of these are either all, everybody can view or restore from audit trail, or you can make it user specific. So I'll make these user specific. I'll save it. Now we'll get out of here and we'll see kind of what's going on. So right away, you can see my tabs here are bold with a count inside of them. This is handy when you have nested tabs. If I had a collection of 5, 10 tabs, do they have notes? Do they have collections of items? You can go and find that just by seeing the number or by seeing the fact that it's bold. All right, same thing here. We put in the font size option. So under the view, we have this font size, and I can pick, I want to go extra large. So people who are visually impaired or people who have high DPI monitors, but your application is not set to handle high DPI, this is a great option. And you can actually determine what sizes you want as part of that model. So let me flip back in here again. Under the options, we have these font sizes. You can add your own collection here, whatever you want to call them, change the sizes, and away you go. Alrighty, looking at the audit trail side of things, this is kind of neat. So under the tools, I'd normally have an audit trail available here, but because my user doesn't have, I made it user specific, my user, which I called an employee in this case, doesn't have rights to view or restore from the audit trail. So I'll just check both of those off. And I should have to log out actually. Of course, I've done the Active Directory authentication, so there's no logout. Pops me back in here, and now under the tools, I should have my view audit trail. So I can click into here, it brings up my list, and I can see what's changed when. Very simply. The restore from audit trail is kind of cool. So if you're familiar with deleting objects in XAF with deferred deletion, and really only when you have deferred deletion on, the related aggregate objects become disconnected. So in the database, typically a contact will have a company ID or a client ID that relates back to this parent object. So when you delete, it destroys that relationship. for a good reason. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Okay. So now on my client list, I have no clients. So I can go back into my tools and I can actually say restore data. Of course, we say it's experimental. We say that because we don't know how your objects work. So don't rely on this 100%. But like I said, in most cases, it works very, very well. And so I can actually go in here and search for items that I deleted within a specific range. And we do this because the audit trail tables can get extremely heavy. But I can see here now, these are all the things that I deleted when I deleted my client. So if I want to bring my client back, I can actually do a preview to show me what's going to be restored. So it's saying, hey, I'm going to restore all of these items. Okay, so I'll go ahead and pick that one. I'll say restore. I'll go back to my client list and refresh. And there's my client back. All the relationships are back in place. My project has all of its links again, including the many-to-manys. So it's a really nice way if somebody screws up and deletes the wrong thing, you don't have to try to reassemble it. You just use the one-click tool.
I don't have anything to say against that. That's a really, really, really neat tool.
We spent hours restoring stuff from audit trails in the past. People don't have backups, and you're just like, oh, what changed? So just having the one-click tool to do it is so much easier.
Yeah.
Once we put toolbar options in, so you can hide toolbars and show toolbars, that kind of thing. We've put this show summary panel in here, so that just puts the option at the bottom, so you can do your aggregates, your counts, your min, your max, your average, all that jazz. Just the click of a button. So it's just convenience. If I hide the toolbar, I have the option to show the toolbar again. It's quick and easy. That works on web as well. In the background, there's some kind of cool things that happen that make development of your objects a little bit easier. So we'll go have a look at that. So in pretty well every application we create, we like to do a little lightweight auditing to show who created an object, who modified it last, and if somebody deleted it, who do we go and blame? So we create a custom base object. And so in here, you'll see I have this, it comes from my typical base object. You can make that from whatever persistent base you want. But we do a, created on, created by, modified by, deleted on, deleted by. And to make the process of tracking this easier, we've built this tracked object helper where we call the after construction. You can pass in the name of a created by field, and if it's a user, we'll basically assign the current user to it. And that happens for your after construction, your on saving and on deleting. The reason we put it in a tracked object helper, you could put this into these methods directly, but when you have a situation like in security, when you've extended employee with the permission policy user, you can't then inherit from a second object. It doesn't work. So we put this iTracked object interface on our custom base object. I can do the exact same thing in my employee. I haven't done it here, but I can do the exact same thing, and I'm adding basically those fields and those 3 lines of code to replicate the same functionality to keep consistency across the entire application. What else? Oh, we have an option for, I'll go to the security preview after. Let's look at the options. So in pretty well, again, every application we create, we have one options table. And what typically happens is that people will have a list of, those options, and somehow they'll create a second version of it, and then you don't know which one to load. So we create this iSingleton.bo interface. If it has it, it's a bit of a nasty implementation, to be honest. It expects that you're going to have this get instance method here, but because it's static, we can't actually enforce that in the interface. But basically, when I go to program options in the navigation, even though the navigation item is set to be the program options list view, it's automatically going to intercept that and show you the detail view instead. So you're only ever going to have one instance of that object. So just by adding that, you add the 1 or 2 methods, the same thing. and adding this interface, it just takes care of that for you. Really quick and easy. The last thing I want to jump in on is the security preview. So actually in our, it's not part of our framework, but it is something that we do up in the security preview module. So there's a little bit of a video on how this works. Basically, there's one controller that manages the switching back and forth of security. And what I like to do is put an option on my employee class or my user class that says, can they do a security preview? And in most cases, I'll make this browsable false. So you have to set it in the database directly. So you just can't just go in and say, yeah, I can preview security. But basically what happens is as I'm working on, working on my security roles, so I have employee role here, I have two roles right now. And in this role, I'm saying, hey, you're not allowed to see the employee roles, or the project teams over here. And type permissions, I turn a few things off, great. I can then go to the tools, say preview security, and say I want to flip to the basic user. Logs me out, logs me back in, and now I'm in as a user. So I can go in and be like, oh yeah, I can't see that, that's right. What if I go into project? Can I actually edit projects? Can I see the project teams? Can I create a new, I can create a new team still, right? So I can flip back and forth very quickly back to an administrator, go back and change my role again, flip back, and I can do all that over and over for every single type that I'm working with. It's a really quick way to create roles. If I create a new one here, this will be a read-only user. Read-only by default. When I go to my tools, it's not going to be here because it's new. I'll refresh this. Now I can go back to my read-only user. Here I go. So this is a really convenient way to go back and just test those roles out. Any questions? Anything come up in the chat? I haven't looked in the chat in a while.
So far so good, Dave. I think there is no questions at the moment, but
Beautiful.
The presentation is great. I love this feature of being able to switch.
One jurisdiction component to have a support for Blazor, or only WebXaf?
It's only WebXaf right now, and it's a limited subset of those features. So let me go into the web module real quick. It's a weird Visual Studio bug with refreshing when you're presenting, strangely enough. So go to my options. So on the web side, I can do the, where are you? Module.web. Did I add the module? Same deal, come back here. Nope. There we go. Let me go ahead and rebuild that. I should close that there. Rebuilding, build succeeded. Close that down. We'll go back in here now. There we go up here. So again, the non-aggregates, returning delete, turn that off. Bolds we can put in. The audit trail, it can be viewed. And then the show counts. So things like the toolbar, I think that's already an option out of the box. Whoops, I'm up on the wrong thing here. Yeah, it's not set up for Blazor yet. We haven't touched this since the end of 2019. As we start getting more into Blazor projects, we're working on a couple right now. But as we start getting more and more, and as we see more emerge from DevExpress as well, we will readjust, and these modules make them work in Blazor.
There was one question. Are the modules added to my app, or do you need to inherit from one you defined? So do you need a base class like Llama Chant, module or Llama Chant?
No, so yeah. I know with things like Expand framework, there for a while at least, there was a need to inherit from that application type. In this case, no. You're just dragging the modules in like you would any one of the other modules. It's really straightforward. Oh, I'm still in the wrong user. Administrator. Here we go. There's my tabs, and there's the there's no delete button. Right, so those are the things that just kind of help out along the way. It's pretty
Very
passive
convenient.
until you turn things on. If you don't want, if a user hates the idea of having the numbers in there, for that individual user, go into the model and turn it off.
Right.
Problem solved. So yeah, that is it for me.
Thank you, Dave. I mean, I think the presentation was great. I see some features that I've never seen before, like, for example, to restore deleted objects and how you handle that. It is amazing. I think it's a good thing to have, especially if you handle really well the audit trail, because you know that the audit trail can go incredibly large, really, really fast, right? So as long as you handle that, then your module is like amazing in that sense. And also the security preview. That helps a lot because like a lot of people ask you for a lot of roles and they don't know how they will work. So you have to test them for them. And this is a really easy way to show them, hey, you do a role like this, and then you can go and look how it will work in general. So I think that those modules are amazing. You're getting some congratulations in the chat.
Thank
you. Thanks for it. And right now, the next presentation is the very own Manuel with Xenial. So Manuel, it's your time to shine.
Yeah.
So the screen is all yours. And just
then I will just close the chat.
Yeah.
And share my screen.
Will you share from this computer or from your other instance?
No, from my other instance.
Okay.
You can see my nice little tent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Just a little. Xavier and almost everybody saw this presentation. I will do it really quick. That presentation is about a year old, and it's more the journey of going. What it takes to do this as a living and getting stuff out and trying to help people. I did a lot of consulting in the last 1.5 years, like Llama Chant, for example, did and Jose, and it is really hard to get a product out there. And I'm a single person, so I have no employees right now. So it's really tough journey to get into that kind of stuff, and I learned a lot doing that. But the goal of Xenial is basically everything I learned in the last 10 years of writing application for external customers and doing a lot of consulting. So the slogan is like, yeah, okay, Xenial, it's easy, it's flexible, it's focused, it should be adapted to all your needs. But it is hard to get into this point. So I don't want to make too much marketing floskels. It's more like, what do you need to get the job done, and what what matters when people write application software, especially in those niche markets. And it's hard because you have from business perspective, from small shops to large shops, you have all kind of problems, and sometimes the framework feels like it's getting into your way. And I worked with really small shops, and they were really happy with XAF. And the larger XAF grows, the harder it gets to manage with a larger set of team members and scale it up. And sometimes, or most of the times, when stuff starts to grow, I had the problem that it's hard to get together with the model editor, for example. You have merge conflicts, all the kind of stuff. XAF get way better in the last couple of years, but there's still a possible improvement. And there was the idea of Xenial born. It took a long time to implement that strategies and make them available to other developers. Okay, we have what does Xenial mean? It's a hospitality kind of thing. We're in Austria, so we like to be hospitable and we like to help other people. But for me, it's like, get the job done and don't get in my way. It's like leading the developer and all the team into the right direction. Okay, so that's the slogan. It's easy, it's flexible, and it's focused. So you can expect that Xenial won't get into your way. Not now and not in the future. It just tries to help you as much as possible and don't get in your way. So that presentation was 2 years ago or one and a half years ago. So my slides stopped there. So let's see how that actually can look like for today. And you can go to sorry, I'm not that well prepared today. Where want to can I? Okay, I can move that to the other screen. Okay. So okay, so it's not live right now, not yet 100%. I wanted to get it done until today, but I didn't. But that's the way life goes. With our pricing website, and it's not about the pricing and all the kind of stuff. It's you can inform your Xenial.io once Xenial.io. Once I'm done, I will tweet it. I will send it to you guys. But that's my last the project about the last couple of months, I guess. So you can look at some of the features. There's a lot of text that will be replaced, and I will go into some of them into more details. There's like the model builders. That's like a metadata framework based on the XF. Excellent metadata stuff that's really handy. A lot of stuff under the hood you saw before uses this a lot, I guess. There is like a Flutter syntax for layouts, as well for list views and columns, and they get all together. So it's getting easier to write really platform agnostic UIs. And there's a lot of qualitative melancholious improvements on top of XAF that just makes the coding easier. Like lambda chart extensions, there's a lot of stuff that we have in similar. We sometimes solve a little stuff a little bit different, like the singleton stuff. And but the main thing is sometimes XAF feels a little bit clunky if you work on a team and you have a direction, and it's you have to go into a flow with your team and try to really make a difference in the quality of your product. Another topic is there's a lot of editors on the way, and there is one editor I want to. It's currently in the lab phase. It's the WebView 2 editor based on the Microsoft on the new Microsoft Edge browser. So it's easier to integrate web content. So, for example, with what Jose told earlier, there's a lot of stuff we can do in the future to support, for example, stuff like
Monaco.
Yeah, thank you. And there are a lot of UX extensions I did over the past couple of years. So when we go to my blog, for example, I'm blogging for a very, very long time. And for example, there was the I think it was the 13.3, like the Windows integration module that's really, really hard to do in XAF and do it on the right step, and getting those user experience capabilities into an XAF application. So that's the main focus about Xenial. Doing your stuff, you have that idea, and getting into the right direction without that stuff having to getting into your way. So that's all for the advertisement. But it's a single thing I want to show real quick. It's like where the road is going. So it's not sleeping. Even if I didn't release it yet, there's a lot of stuff that is in my head going around and helping other customers and getting it on the road. So there's one really, really important question that a lot of people ask me is like, will you support Xenial for web forms? So the classical XAF Win Web. And the answer is no. I am going to be the first one in the road that supports WinForms and Blazor. So I think I'm in the first direction and in the first row to support you guys on getting the best user experience out for the new way, for getting into the Blazor way of doing things, helping you transition into the next century or the next .NET kind of phase. So I really, really try to help you and have both platforms in parallel. So we had in the last 10 years, WinForms and WebForms was like kind of comparison equal, and I tried to do the same thing with Blazor and WinForms. Why WinForms? WinForms won't die. Not quickly. It will not die. It is a great platform. It's a great opportunity, and it just works for all that kind of business applications hundreds of thousands of people rely on. And Blazor, on the other hand, is like the smaller product that can really get momentum if we want to support Blazor, mobile phones, tablets, web stuff, and so on and so forth. Okay.
Noah, do you have documentation for all of this? And if so, can you post it in the chat?
Yeah, the thing is, okay, we have like, we have right now feature center the framework.io. I will post it real quick in the chat. It is an interactive documentation. If I find my chat, where it is, no. Jose, can you help me out and post my link on the chat? I don't find the chat window.
Okay, I will look for the link and post it in the chat.
There it is. I have it on my other screen. So that's a feature center that's designed to be a living documentation, and it's built upon all kind of stuff. It is not complete because I focus on the editors first, because I think they are the most valuable. But you also can download the WinForms demo, and I will do that right now. So it's taking a couple of seconds. And show it in folder. I have prepared it, but of course I haven't prepared it. So I'm just extract it here real quick. Okay, so let's do a real quick comparison between the Blazor feature center. So you sometimes are not some editors or some stuff isn't supported because DevExpress doesn't support it yet. But some stuff is designed to be just equally it's platform unagnostic, so it doesn't matter where you run it. And if we have a quick comparison between Blazor and the editors, it besides the step progress editors that aren't supported are using the native DevExpress controls, but those are only the visual components. So I hope you get the point there where I'm trying to maneuver with the new stuff from the editor's perspective. But now we have the model builders and the layout builders, and those are the most interesting parts of the whole stuff, because everybody can write an editor and do the kind of stuff. Okay, we have the batches, like the alpha here and the lab stuff. And here, so it is supported, but those are visual clues to the user, but it's really, really hard to implement sometimes that kind of stuff in an XAF application. So you don't have to matter about that. Show a notification for a new mail or for a new sale or for a new invoice. That's the batch of stuff. You can do whatever you want in that perspective. If I find my mouse back, we can look a little bit about the code about the model editors. And the model editors are really, really the neat thing. Model editors, the model. How's it called? Model builders. So it's like a it's a way to describe your the metadata for your XAF object or your business objects or your domain objects in code. So the neat thing about doing this is you can use constants, you can use if then else statements and stuff like this. Can you guys read that? or is it too small?
It's good, Manuel. I think it's a
Yes,
good.
It's good. Okay. The thing is, normally you have like 10, 20, 30, 50 attributes on your business classes. And that's fine. Sometimes it's really, really good to have everything in one place, and sometimes it's not. And if your team grows and your application complexity grows, it can be a really, really reliever to have something you can control in code. The thing is, we're looking right now at that feature center. So we are looking at that code right here. And that is exactly that demo. So I'm looking at the model builder file. It's a naming convention that I just called it Badges Introduction Demo Model Builder.cs, but it's just a class that derives from model builder, for example, that is type of Badges Introduction Demo. What is basically this kind of this business object. And those attributes normally are described as caption attribute, image name attribute, default class options attribute. And now we have two additional methods we call that add another attributes to the type system. Basically, the Xaf type system works like, okay, we analyze all your code, and then we collect all the attributes together, all the information, all the type system, all properties, all methods, and we collect them all together. And then we can add and remove attributes at runtime. And that also means we can do a lot of stuff with adding and removing attributes at runtime. So maybe we want to change that text. That's a bad example, but we want to change the text for a customer name, for example. So we have if that customer is X or is Y, for example. It's a little bit hard to describe here. I will get into this in a little bit detail, but for example, you also can apply that not only to the class, all of that stuff is at class level. We also can do that at property level. So let me show real quick. I have a mail client right here. And this is really a mail client with my real emails. So I hope I don't breach anything.
So Manuel, in the meantime, when you're loading that, so that means that you can have a class without any decoration, and you can implement it in a different way in two applications because you do the decorations in runtime in general.
Exactly, exactly. It doesn't have to be in the same assembly, and you don't even have to load XAF in the, you don't have to use the XAF
because
reference.
Sometimes we do a lot of Xamarin application. Well, a big part of business is Xamarin applications. So sometimes
for example,
we want to include the decorations from Xaf into the Xamarin application. So I just wanted to keep it for Xaf. So I usually use reflection to include our attributes, but it's a little bit cumbersome because I want my models to be just models without any decoration, so I can implement it in a different way in maybe the same application or in different applications, right? So I think this is a really neat approach because you leave your model as model, actually.
The thing is, there are some restrictions, for example, but maybe we can work out with the XAF team. It's like the domain component attribute is a good example. Sometimes they respect it and sometimes they don't. But most of the time, it's working like in Entity Framework. If anybody works with Entity Framework, you can alter your metadata all the time, but this is not for the tables and infrastructure and the relationships. This is about the whole XAF infrastructure. So if you look here in my demo right here, it's my real email, and this is describing more or less my this is like a mail, the mail list view. So it's a mail model builder, and it's like date from blah, and we have all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of stuff here, and it isn't working. I can't change anything. But if you look at my mail class, it is really, really just the XPO data. Okay, I have included the rules for the validation module. There is a validation module coming for the model builder later. I have that in place for many, many years, but it didn't make the cut for today. But everything else is just XPO code. So there's nothing XAF specific here besides that action. So that's XPO only. Nothing, no attributes. There's there are no special navigation item attributes, something like this. It's just the mail class. And now I have the mail. Now I have a mod.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Manuel.
Yeah, sure.
We're in a part setting the ports and the authentication mode. Port.
I didn't get a question. What was the question? What is about security and authentication? I can't hear you. You're muted. Muted.
Fernando, you're on mute. So if you want to do the question, you can ask, or you can write it on the chat.
Sí.
Okay.
Sorry, Manuel. I sound problem. In this part, the business class, you're setting the port, active port number incoming and O. Port number for O and input. Example, 110, 587 port, no? And model authentication. What is the parameter in the class?
I don't get your question 100%.
Fernando, if you want, you can send me a direct message on Spanish, and I will put the question for everyone here in the conference. Like, why don't you send me a direct message?
I'm sorry,
What is the field? What is the field for setting the port and the authentication mode? Settings port for communication.
That's for example, that's a direct database communication. That's not related. If that gets a question.
I think that Fernando means like he's asking about the SMTP class, like for the mail client in general. So
I am okay. That is part of my presentation, yeah. But I am using MailKit at MimeKit, and it's just using standard open source libraries for that kind of stuff.
Email. Great.
Yeah. So if you have questions about that, leave me a message or an email. But it's about the model builders right now. So okay, that's a neat thing. Okay, we can do that in code. We also can get, and I did that before. We can get that from another database, for example, like from my configuration database or stuff like this. Mm-hmm. So we are in code. So we are not we aren't in the need to do that as a constant, and we don't have to do the hiccup and okay, we need to change that or change that. we can just read it here and do like mail plus. Okay, let's change our caption from mail to mail plus random. I know we don't do random, but and don't do plus, but the random next bytes. Okay, let's stop real quick. No, that's the system math random. No, where's random? How's it? Random, there it is. New random next. Let's take 0 and 100, just to show the case. So we can do anything we want in code.
Manuel, I have a question, and is that if I'm not using XPO, well, I'm using XPO all the time, but let's say that you have a different library. So this approach will work for anything that is .NET, or is a special case for Xaf and XPO?
It's a special case for Xaf. If you use it with Xaf, I will show it. It's not XPO only. It works with any Xaf project. But it is Xaf only. But if you can see here, now it's mail 75.
Yeah.
Okay, so basically we changed that to a random number, but we have to restart the application, or at least to reread the metadata. And that is a critical part besides all the kind of stuff that's inside of XAF, because it's reading your metadata and then it generates the model layer after that. So I still can do edit model. And if my model editor goes up onto the right window, you can see it didn't change anything about the model class.
So it's actually not updating the model, it's just changing the value in runtime.
It's before.
Oh,
it's before. So every stuff you do is like that stuff we put into the model editor or in the model builder is like before even model gets generated. And that's the idea. So I can still go here and say mail, if I can type, mail with model builders are awesome. If I can type, but I can't, so it's fine. So, but it still works, and you get every benefit you have from XAF. But you have one additional layer where you can inject code. Okay, so, great. But that would be kind of lame. But you also can do like conventional stuff. And that's really, I think, the really neat thing. In my demo, no fields are editable by default.
Mm-hmm. So you want to change it to make it editable, like just in this case, like with the model builder.
Yeah. For there's one really big thing. There is a XAFer right here, and I will open it with an XML editor, and it's empty. There is no model at all in my whole application. No model editor, nothing. So I am going to do all that kind of stuff in code, and everything is purely defined by conventions and attributes. So, and nothing of these classes are editable. There's no security in place. There's nothing in general. It's just there's a convention here. I can say for properties, not allowing edit, as I did if I right here. So I'm applying an attribute to every single class every member of that class. So basically, it's doing. Don't look at the code. There's a lot of stuff, but basically, what I'm doing is like for our properties, with attributes, and then
the studio is running, so maybe you should stop it to get a better autocomplete and Intellisense.
Yeah. So for all properties, I'm going to apply the model default, new model default attribute, and I think it's allow edit force. Okay. So let's run that again. So you can think about it that you're iterating over all of the properties and adding that attribute to every single line of code.
I really like that approach because I like my models to stay clean.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're doing like, I mean, it's getting
and
hard.
it's still doing the same thing. But if I do remove that, it should be editable. And it is. Okay. So basically, it's like it allows you to write your own DSL about your data types. But the really neat thing is if you combine it really with data types. For example, I have here that that model about 4 properties of type, and I'm applying a special attribute to a display format attribute to all properties that have the type date time. Mm-hmm. So
that's really neat, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, so I like that. Like set all properties to some and apply an attribute to all of them at the same time. That is a time saver.
I don't have any idea right now. What's a date formatter? F is a date formatter. I have no idea. Small f, I guess. This full time. I have no idea. So let's check.
Yeah, I always have to Google the format the string and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the only thing I'm working right now to get the refactorings in here. So it's date time formatting. But the neat thing is I can show you a quick hint on this.
Yeah, you have the time there.
Yeah, here it is. So, but the neat thing is you don't have to do that all the time. You don't have to remember all that kind of stuff because your application should be unique and should be uniformed in most of the places. Sometimes you have to split, but 90% or 95 or 99% of the time, formatting should be the same, at least for dates and currencies and stuff like this. So I really quickly show you how to you can remove those. Because this is designed to be extendable. So we can do like 4, not that small 4, for the property date, message date, has display format. Okay. And you can see there's a property builder of datetime, mail, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. So don't be afraid about this huge number of shit. There will be a lot of guidance about doing that stuff, but basically what we are doing is we're writing an extension method for
the Fluent API, right? That's basically the
Fluent API, and it's called class my date conventions, and I am just copy and pasting this the
method,
the API body. And we're getting the T of T, and we have the T of T, and we can call it that has display time, has my date format. We have the I property builder of T property, and there's all like kind of stuff. And there's the display format, and we don't need that because we specified that earlier. And now everything we have to do is we take the builder and return builder dot has display format or any other attribute. So you can say has with attribute, and they can deploy your own, but we go for has display format. And now we say it's 0, and we say no, y, I think it's mmdd, I guess. And I'm just using this. And now I need a semicolon, and now I can use that format everywhere.
Oh, nice.
So I have no floating strings, I have no constants, and the neat thing, it works for every, and as you can see, it is wrong because there is no y, but you get the point.
Manuel, one question. Do you have documentation for this part of Xenial? Because if not, I think that you will get some you will get some volunteers in the chat. I mean, because everyone is loving this feature. And I think that is really neat because I like to have separated
yes and no
to actual implementation. So
yes and no.
In the end, you can like
you can define multiple properties, and that's a thing. That's the neat thing about model builders. There is documentation about model builders, and I just need to have to open a window that is opening on the right screen. So let's open a new window, and I go here. I blogged about this archive. Model builders. Here, there's all the technical details about how it's implemented. There isn't a definitive documentation about this right now, but you can go just to
why don't you share that link on the chat for everyone to have it?
Sure. Let me put that here real quick and put the other one as well. I would love to hear your feedback on Xenial.io Xenial framework. Everything is open source. You saw today, right now, and it is open source. It's not free, but it's open source. But that's the best documentation I have for the non-code samples. So, but the most part is best documented in the demos, how I use them and stuff like this. But just leave me an issue here, ask questions, I love to get feedback from you. Currently, you can, the installation process is also documented on the demo page. So there was framework, the Xenial.io, so framework, Xenial Feature Center. So it normally drives you step through every process, how to, what you have to do, like you normally have to do, but it's more code centric. You can use it. I have two or three users that are using it with a normal XAF kind of way with designers and stuff, but I don't recommend it because I don't test it. But I'm just getting to one small little thing, and that's the model builders. Basically, every feature is designed about you can pick and choose what kind of feature you want to use in your inside your application. You can go the normal route and just add the module and you're good to go and you get everything. But as like Dave's modules, it's like the minimal inversive feature that you can have, because you have to opt into it.
Mm-hmm.
And everything is like designed about to be opt into it, or you get everything, or small features, slices in between. So if you can look at the usage, for example, you can. This is the minimal with the model builder, with the attribute approach, like you would, for example, in a normal XAF way.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the model builder stuff that tells you how you can use it in code.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have a GIF that tells you how you would use that feature in a normal XAF way, how you are used to do it right now. So you have all the flexibility between really, really low code approach, like the model editor stuff, or you get all the way down to attributes, or you may try out the model builder feature. So you have all the choice in between.
Great.
And that's the thing about Xenial. You can pick and choose what you like about the feature, what you don't like about the feature, and that's just the beginning. So that's all based around the model builder stuff and everything XAF provides. And play around with it. Help and feedback. You can ask me all the time about this. I'm not 100% sure when it go to sale, but it won't be free. But it is, if I can go back on my pricing page, it's not online right now. It is like normally priced. You have a normal subscription license. Mm-hmm. You can pay on rolling. If you're a company or an enterprise and you need more support, you can go into very, very, I have to say, very expensive deals. But the main difference between all the kind of editions is like, what kind of DevExpress support versions do I need to support? The more they are getting, the harder it gets. That's why the enterprise version is so expensive, because you can pick and choose for 3 or 4 years a DevExpress license I will support. But you can pick and choose and get individual components. So if you don't need anything and you just want the model builder stuff, it's $10 per month, and you get all the components. And we didn't even talk about the layout builders.
Yeah, one question, Manuel, is that for the runtime or for the design time? What will happen with the runtime once I compile my application?
Yeah, very good question. You can do whatever you want with the runtime. It's just a developer seat license. Mm-hmm. And you can, if you buy the license, it will be checked against the compile date of Xenial. Mm-hmm. So you can use it all the time, but for forever you like, for hundreds of years into the future. Mm-hmm. But if I release a new version with new DevExpress version support, mm-hmm. then you have to renew the subscription.
So it's a perpetual license in the end. It's not a subscription. It's a perpetual license.
It's tied. No, it's not really a perpetual license.
For the versions that are supported for your. I mean, if you get one license today for 1 year, all of those.
If you buy that $10 license, mm-hmm. it will be supported forever. But if I release a new version next month, you don't get access to the new version, and you don't get access to the new DevExpress version. So if you want to be on track with the DevExpress version, you can just buy a license and then unsubscribe. And then if you decide to buy up to the next DevExpress version, for example, you're right now on 22.3, for example, and then you have like 6 months where you're working, or 8 months, and then you decide, okay, now I want to switch to 21.2, for example, and buy another one. Then you can use everything before it, but the time where you compile and it stays working. But if I release a new version and you want a new version, you have to update your subscription. I have Great. That it makes sense. And you can pick and choose. So it's for everybody. It's the $50 per month isn't that much of a deal. I know it's not nothing, of course. But you get free support, you get CI/CD versions, and there's a lot of stuff you didn't even see in that package. Okay, so, and the next time there will be the layout builders, because
I think we can do a Twitch, like a live Twitch, one of the during the week. So. Also, I will be glad that to show that to the Spanish community. So I will do a Spanish demo. I will work on that with you. And well, guys, that will be everything for this stand-up. Thanks everyone for coming. And if I can ask you something, if everyone can turn on your camera so I can take a picture, because I always take a picture of all the stand-ups. We have one for each month. So if Manuel, you can please stop sharing so we can get the whole screen.
Okay, I need to stop sharing my screen if I can somehow.
Today we're missing one guy, but he will be here on the next meetup anyway. So if everyone can turn on their cameras, like in the next minute, I will be taking some screenshots for the community. Great. We have more cameras now.
Cool.
Let's wait a little bit, because maybe not everyone was like in front of the computer, because most of the people was just listening or something like that. Okay, it looks like we have like half of the people. Let's give it like maybe a few seconds more. So let's wait a little bit, because I like this for the. So I will count to 3. So you do your smile or whatever you do. I'm not good at smiling. So okay, like 1, 2, 3, go.
Yay!
Great. So we have a few screenshots already. So let's see. 1 second. Let's wait for me to paste them, because otherwise I will lose them and there will be no picture. Great. So let me save this, and I will save it in the desktop. Okay, everyone. So thanks for coming. Thanks everyone to spend time with us. I think that the presentations were great. Thanks, Manuel. I'm really excited about Xenial stuff, especially about that I can do everything in code, because I'm a code first approach type of person. And I'm looking forward to see the layout builder. So we should Twitch about that. And maybe we can meet tomorrow, because we will have a Spanish meeting on Saturday. So again, thanks everyone for coming, and see you guys the next month.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Bye. Ciao.
Bye.